Gotta get a photo.
Yeah, we're over here. How are you? No. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Rich Bagger. I'm the board chair for the Gateway Development Corporation. And it's my pleasure to welcome you this morning to this groundbreaking ceremony for the Portal North Bridge project. This is an amazing vantage point on the bridge. I was just calculating coming over here that as a New York commuter for many years, it's easily over 5,000 times I crossed that bridge on the train. But to be able to see it from this angle, I think just reinforces how much of a vital link this bridge is for New Jersey, New York commutation and for the Northeast corridor, and a single point of failure on the busiest piece of rail in the United States, the failure of which could put up to 10% of the nation's GNP at risk. So that's why it's so significant today that we are gathering to mark as a milestone the beginning of construction of the new Portal North Bridge, an important element, an important project that forms part of the Gateway program. So this morning we're going to hear in a moment from some very special guests, including, in order, I'll introduce Amtrak Chairman Tony Kosha, Senator Menendez, Senator Booker, Congressman Payne, and Governor Christie. But before I do, I just want to recognize some of the elected officials and the Gateway Program's partners who are here today. So representing our partners at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, we have the Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, Kevin O'Toole, the Executive Director, Rick Cotton, several of the commissioners, in addition to myself, Ray Pacino, Karen Turner. From New Jersey Transit, we have with us today Steve Santoro, the Executive Director. The Amtrak delegation is led by the Amtrak Board Chair, Tony Kosha, who you'll hear from in just a moment. I want to recognize our host mayor, Alberto Santos, who is with us today, as well as Somerset County Freeholder Chairman Peter Palmer, who is here today representing as chairman of the the North Jersey Transportation Planning Group. And with that, let me introduce Tony Kosha to offer his remarks as we gather this morning to begin, celebrate, or mark the beginning of construction on this important program. Chairman Kosha.
Thanks, Rich. And again, it's great to be here today, and this is really a very special occasion, not just for Amtrak, but for everyone who lives in this region and for everyone throughout the country that believes in the investment in infrastructure and what that means to our economy and our quality of life. Rich mentioned a number of people to thank, and I sort of add to that extension of gratitude to all of those who have helped us and brought us to this point. There's so many agencies have come together to show true partnership to advance something that's critical to all of us. I'd also like to thank, in particular, the Amtrak team, Stephen Gardner, who couldn't be here today, and Marie Corrado and their team, who work very, very hard every day to make Gateway a reality. All of them deserve a great deal of credit and our appreciation for what they've been able to accomplish. People are always asking me when they see me, when will the Gateway project start? And I tell them a much better question is, when will they make us stop? Because if anyone hasn't noticed, we have clearly started. You don't really need to make the case for what we're doing, because building Gateway is really about creating a better transportation connection to move commuters around, creating a better economy. It's about improving the way that people move around the region, giving them the kind of mobility that will add to the quality of their life as opposed to taking away from it. The case for Gateway is not something you need to argue with someone about why we need to do it. I mean, the truth is that, people will, I get tons of information and comments from people on how to basically make Amtrak run better, and I'm sure my friends at New Jersey Transit and MTA get the same kind of comments. But I will tell you that in my years as being chairman of Amtrak, no one has ever come to me and said, everything is great, don't touch a thing. So it's pretty clear to me that there's lots to be done, and it's really up to us to get that done. We inherited a system that's way beyond its useful life. There's no other way of looking at it. And it's that outlook that got the Amtrak engineers and planners to look at the critical flaws in the ARC program and to make changes that have given us an alignment that will now allow us to create a much better program, and one that will clearly provide the kind of transportation infrastructure for a 21st century economy. It's that same kind of outlook that after Superstorm Sandy resulted in the investment of $300 million to preserve that alignment that will allow us to connect these trains directly to Penn Station in New York. All of those things are bringing us to this point today where we're making a $20 million investment to fix the Portal Bridge. Unless, of course, there's someone out there who thinks that a better option would be for us to keep 19th century technology to move 450 trains and thousands of people every day. And I really doubt that's the case. The new Portal Bridge will be twice as high as the current one over the Hackensack River. And it'll give us a much better ability to deal with the fact that it has to also facilitate boat traffic. No longer will the trains rely on these massive wheels behind me that you see turning the train, and then people in Penn Station's control center nervously waiting for it to reconnect to the Northeast Corridor, or people with sledgehammers literally having to bang it shut. This is totally unacceptable for what we're dealing with today in this economy and being competitive on a global basis. And today is about starting that and about fixing it. Now, I get the fact that what we're talking about here is a fraction of what it's going to take for us to build the Gateway program. But what we're doing today is important work that needs to be done. The truth is that any time we lose, we won't make up tomorrow. So in given the option as to whether to delay or move forward, we choose to move forward. I understand there's a lot more that we need to do, and I understand there's a lot more we need to bring together. But today makes a real great case to everyone that we are all ready to build, and we're ready to get this started. With that, let me introduce our next speaker, who is somebody who I've known for a very long period of time, and I will tell you that I've been through struggles like this with him for as long as I've been involved in any kind of public service. Of course, that's one of our trains, as you can tell. Senator Menendez was there for this region many times over, including the fact that when dredging needed to be done to save the Port of New York, he was the person who led that charge. I remember from my Port Authority days how critical that port is to this region and how it wouldn't be what it is today without Senator Menendez's work. And he's applied that same level of dedication to making Gateway a reality. So it is my pleasure and my honor to introduce our senior senator, Robert Menendez.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Kosha, for all of your work and dedication. I'm thrilled to be here with my colleagues in Congress who make the federal aspect of this possible. Senator Cory Booker has been a fantastic advocate since he joined me in the Senate, crucial to our efforts, as well as Congressman Donald Payne, who understands the region incredibly well. And I'm also very thrilled to have the governor with us today, because we cannot achieve these things and what lies ahead without a bipartisan effort at the end of the day. And in this respect, we have worked extremely well together. So, Governor, thank you very much to the chair and to all of the commissioners of the Port Authority. Mayor, it's good to be back in your town. 117 years ago, at the dawn of the 20th century, innovation was transforming transportation like never before. In Dayton, Ohio, the Wright brothers laid the groundwork for the world's first airplane factory. In Panama, workers excavated land for a new canal connecting the Atlantic to the Pacific. And right here in New Jersey, workers were building the Portal Bridge, an ambitious project to provide service connecting New Jerseyans to Manhattan's brand new Penn Station. When it opened in 1910, the Portal Bridge was a feat of modern engineering, a two-track movable swing bridge that opened to make way for boats to pass beneath it. But what was cutting edge in 1910 isn't cutting edge in 2017. These days, when the Portal Bridge opens for the ships below, there's a 15% chance of a mechanical or electrical failure while locking it back into place. And every time that happens, we get a ripple of disruption and frustration across the entire Northeast Corridor. Huge headaches for everyone who relies on New Jersey Transit, and delays that stretch from Washington to New York or Boston. Even when everything works, speed restrictions on the Portal Bridge are placed around the clock. This slows down 450 trains every day, creating a choke point on the busiest stretch of rail in all of America. Whether it's a breakdown or a slowdown, New Jersey commuters have been fed up for years. But today we're turning the page. We're marking a new chapter in the history of the Portal Bridge and the beginning of the end to a nightmare that has plagued commuters for far too long. I see the bridge as a bridge towards our future in terms of transportation and competitiveness and opportunity. The new Portal Bridge will be fixed in place and high enough for marine traffic to pass below unimpeded. That means no more malfunctions and no hour-long delays. So if time is money, as they say, the new Portal Bridge will free up a whole lot of time. For commuters, it means spending more time at home with family, doing the things that make life matter. For businesses, it means a more attractive environment for investment and expansion. And for all of us, a smoother New Jersey transit experience means less congestion on the roads, less pollution in our air, and a healthier environment. So today's groundbreaking is the first step in the Gateway Project's broad mission to remake the Northeast Corridor. And the entire country will benefit when we maximize the impact of a region that already contributes $3.7 trillion to the U.S. GDP each year. All of this reminds us that public investments in infrastructure are worth every penny. I know there's a trendy notion that the private sector will somehow step up to rebuild all of our crumbling infrastructure, but for me that's nothing more than wishful thinking. Certainly the private sector has a role to play, but corporations have to focus on financial returns on their investments. So when it comes to rebuilding bridges or filling potholes, the benefits aren't likely profits on a balance sheet. They are collective benefits: improved safety, faster commutes, better quality of life, getting workforces to their destination, getting products to market. We make public investments in infrastructure for a reason. They benefit the public. Families, workers, businesses, all of us reap those gains. So today's effort wouldn't be possible without leaders on both sides of the aisle and both sides of the Hudson working together to make it happen. We all know the federal Tiger Grant program that provided the bulk of the money for the beginning of the work that we are starting here is highly competitive. We had former Secretary Fox here in New Jersey a couple years ago. We were working him over. Chairman O'Toole asked who was the good cop and bad cop between Senator Booker and myself. Senator Booker claimed that he was the good cop and I was the bad cop, and that has been most of my life. So in any event, but the bottom line is that we achieved the goal. And we got a competitive Tiger Grant in the midst of national competition. So we're proud to have worked together along with the congressional delegation. I want to mention Rodney Frelinghuysen, who's been such an exceptional member of Congress as it relates to the appropriations process. We've worked on many things together. And I want to also recognize the language that Senator Schumer, myself, and Senator Booker included in the most recent federal transportation bill, where this project will be eligible for millions of future funding from the New Starts program. So I know that there are some proposals floating around Washington that suggest we will derail Gateway. The bottom line is Gateway is a project with a destiny that cannot be deterred. At the end of the day, we have too much at stake, not just for New Jersey and the region and the Northeast corridor, but for the nation. We can't keep kicking down the can down the road and thinking that we're going to ultimately be competitively global without investing locally. And we can't let infrastructure become what has always been a bipartisan issue, making it a partisan issue. So today we're here as Republicans and Democrats who believe in the power of infrastructure to create prosperity. Throughout history, projects like the Border Bridge have transcended partisanship. From President Roosevelt's Public Works program to President Eisenhower's vision for a federal highway system that opened up the entire country, Americans have made infrastructure a bipartisan priority. The Border Bridge helped the Northeast Corridor grow into the economic powerhouse it is today. But we can't depend on 20th century infrastructure for success in the 21st century. That's why we're here, to break ground on a new Border Bridge, to deliver results to hardworking people on both sides of the Hudson who deserve far better, and to recommit ourselves to working towards the vision of making Gateway a reality. Thank you very much. And now let me introduce my colleague, a member of the Commerce Committee, sitting on the Rail Subcommittee, incredibly important to our future and our vitality in the state, and a tremendous advocate, Senator Gordon.
Tony Kosher could have done something about these trains for this press conference, but he refused to. I want to just let everybody know that this has been an obsession, something that when I was mayor, I got complaints from my residents who were sick and tired of delays, having to leave work earlier because of the unpredictability of New Jersey transit. When I was running for this office, I had transportation experts say to me that the greatest crisis, the greatest looming crisis in this region is the crumbling infrastructure all around us. And when I became the United States Senator, I joined with my senior senator and my dear friend, Bob Menendez, in making this our top priority, in addition to the priority that is related to this, which is dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, which chopped off many of the years that we had, perhaps to now have this project be all the more urgent. And Senator Menendez knows this. I mean, it was 3+ years ago that we had a summit meeting in my office with Governor Christie, with the Secretary of Transportation, where we just said we've got to come together and deal with this looming crisis. And this is a work that has led me on both sides of the aisle, working with people like Roger Wicker from Mississippi, writing rail bills that changed everything from grant opportunities to the way the loan programs worked. It led me on both sides of the aisle, working with tremendous New Jerseyans, Frelinghuysen Payne. It's led me through my entire catalog of music from Motown, I'm Not Too Proud to Beg, to Bruce Springsteen, Sometime You Got to Bring Out the Wrecking Ball. All of these things we've had to do to get to this point. It has been an incredible team effort. I am very, very grateful for everybody who participated in it. This is an essential, critical first step, but we have a long way to go. Because right now we are facing, in the most economically productive region in North America, we are facing economic Armageddon if we do not get this Gateway project done. So I am very happy to get to this point. I am deeply grateful to the partners, to everybody. Many hands makes light work. This was not light work, but we got it done. I just want to express my gratitude, but also the urgency for us to continue this work. If we don't do it, economic Armageddon. If we do it, economic prosperity. 2030, the jobs that will be created in the project alone, not to mention the economic growth for every dollar that we invest, will have a multiplier effect. I'm going to get off the stage. Bob asked me to give a 90-minute speech, but I'm not going to do that. I don't know what it is. Bob Menendez says, Corey, the secret of being a great senator is filibustering. Speak along every opportunity you get. You cannot have progress very simply without pain. I bring to you Congressman Donald Payne.
Thank you, Senator Booker. When I went to Congress, I got down there and I thought I was free of certain things, and then I turned around and here comes Cory Booker again. I thought I had gotten away, but to check to see if there was a stalking law that was in effect. But he has come down there and has been a great partner. And we know the work of Senator Menendez speaks for itself in fighting for what's right for New Jersey and this country. And so I'm just delighted to be here with them. It's a pleasure to once again be here with both them. The Portal Bridge groundbreaking is a good beginning for the Gateway project. The Gateway is a multi-billion dollar project that will replace old infrastructure and expand the railroad connecting New Jersey and New York. A Gateway is the nation's most critical infrastructure project at this point. It will make commuters safer and more reliable for hundreds of thousands of people every single day. The Portal Bridge is shovel-ready. The environmental reviews and permitting are all complete. The bridge is here today is over a century old. It is prone to frequent and mechanical problems that cause disruptions along the Northeast Corridor from Boston to Washington, D.C. It is time for this fixed-span bridge that won't be subject to river traffic. This year, from my seat on the House Committee on Transportation Infrastructure, I repeatedly called for Gateway funds, and specifically for the Portal Bridge funding. As a regular rider of Amtrak, I know the pain my constituents and all the North Jersey commuters have suffered because of our crumbling infrastructure. I, along with United States senators from New Jersey, New York, have called upon Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao to come and visit the site and others connected to Gateway, as her last two predecessors have. New Jersey and New York are on board. Democrats and Republicans are on board. The governor and state officials and congressional representatives are on board. I know Governor Christie and Cuomo have committed to 50% of funding this project, which is an incredible commitment. And I will do everything I can to ensure that the federal government meets its commitment to cover the other half. And, this is a really great day here to see this come to fruition. Many days in Washington, I have advocated for this project. I was very concerned, but a meeting in the White House that Governor Christie and Cuomo brought together and Senator Booker and I attended, when we talked to the president, seemed we're going in the right direction. So we'll continue to push for this project. We know what it means to this state, to this region, and to the country's economy. And so with that, I'd like to bring up a gentleman that's been at the forefront of this fight and brought us to Washington to meet with the president, the Honorable Christie.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I thank Chairman Bagger for his leadership on the Gateway Development Corporation. I want to thank Chairman O'Toole and Executive Director Cotton. The Port Authority are indispensable partners in this project on behalf of both myself and Governor Cuomo. I want to thank Tony Kosha from Amtrak. Obviously, Amtrak, too, is an indispensable partner in all this. And my friends in Congress, Senator Booker, Senator Menendez, Congressman Payne, and in absentia, Congressman Frelinghuysen, who has also done a significant amount of the lifting that needed to be done to make today possible. And I thank Rodney as well. We've all talked about this bridge, what it does, what it doesn't do, and what we need the new bridge to do. The more important part of all this is to understand how vital this first step is, with us making the commitment that we are going to put our resources forward to be able to get this portal bridge done. I've explained to both President Obama and now President Trump that the Gateway Tunnel without the portal bridge is a useless exercise, that the portal bridge is a vital part of making the entire project work the way it's supposed to work. And today we're getting that first and important, indispensable part of this project going now because of the commitment of both New York and New Jersey, our federal partners, and our partners at the Port Authority. Also, I was heartened to hear the remarks of Chairman Kosha. This is a project that will work for the people of New Jersey, New York, and this region because it is a project that will lead them to Penn Station. There is no alternative to do this type of work and to spend this kind of money if we are not going to lead folks to either their destination at Penn Station in New York or their next train to take them where they need to go, which will come out of Penn Station in New York. And Rich Bagger, when he was my chief of staff, and I fought hard to make sure that Penn Station would be the destination for any new tunnels that spent tens of billions of dollars to be built of federal and state tax money, had to be something that was going to work for commuters. Work for commuters that come from Washington to New York and Boston, work for commuters who come from New Jersey to New York City each and every day. I agree with both senators. This is a project that is integral to the economy of this region and as a result the economy of the country. But I have always believed that some project is not better than the right project. Sometimes you have to fight hard and take the abuse that comes along with it to fight for the right project. And that is what I've been doing for the last 8 years. It's not just to accept any project and not to have that project saddle disproportionately the taxpayers of the state of New Jersey, but now to actually have New York under Governor Cuomo as a full partner with New Jersey. In the last project, that was not the case. New York was not a partner with New Jersey in this project. To have the federal government be a full 50% partner, which was not the case in the last project, but is in this one. And then to have the project, as Chairman Kosha put it himself, to be the best project we can have going directly to Penn Station. This is what we've been fighting for 8 years, and I am really glad that we're here today to begin the first step of this project in a concrete way, not just with more words and promises, but with actual action. And to our friends in the labor community, this is just another example of how our partnership with you continues to create jobs for the working men and women of the middle class of this region. And there is nothing more important than having those folks at work, having them provide for their families, and having them have the dignity every day of a job that not only pays them a living wage, but also knowing that they're doing something that's extraordinarily important to their fellow citizens. And so to all the folks who are partners in all this, I appreciate very much your stick-to-itiveness, your willingness to continue to fight with me to get this done the right way. I know that Corey and Bob and Donald are correct. We have a little more work to do at the White House, but I intend to be out front on that work with the White House to make sure that the commitment of the federal government that was made under President Obama is kept by President Trump, and that we will see this project full to completion so that Amtrak and New Jersey Transit can provide even greater service for their customers and for the economy of this region. So thank you all for being here today. Let's proceed to throw some dirt around, which is always the most fun part of these, and we make no promises as to who we're going to throw it at. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you all for coming today. Let's proceed to the shovels and have a groundbreaking for this project.
President. careful.
Sorry.
That's a little muddy down there.